Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final stream of OpCon 2020. It has been a con weekend, my friends. It has been quite the con weekend. Thank you a million times over for joining us over these last 4 days. I'm Jeremy, with me, Ross Thompson from the Op Games, Pat from the Op Games. This has been pretty much the core squad. We've cycled some people in and out, but I mean, these two faces I've spent a lot of time with and learned a lot with over the last couple of days. How you boys feeling?
Good. It's been so much fun doing this. I'm glad that we scheduled times that were early in the morning and that were later in the day. It really did feel like we were at a con.
It was the con that I never had to leave my home for, not had to worry about parking or, you know, getting mugged on the trolley.
Or naps or anything, right? It's all good.
Snacks were cheaper, you know.
That's a lie. There was naps in between. I think one panel at some point. and no, Ross, you were not the only one who did that.
It's so. I mean, it's funny because, like, you know, I know everyone's work schedule. A lot of people has changed, working from home now and doing these things where we're at the computer all day. But it's so different having to be on. Right, and where it's like, here we are playing games, doing things. This has been a lot of fun, though, and I'm really glad we got to do this. It's always fun from my end, too. Like, I know I get to come on and talk about games, but I love hearing Pat and Tony and Cammie all share about their passion for games, too, and all the different stuff like that. And Jeremy, kind of getting to watch along with you as you were learning about all the things behind the scenes, too, right? So
I think the most fascinating thing is, I think as consumers, we take a lot for granted when we see a game and it's got a certain trademark on it. It's got a certain IP. You don't know, you don't realize, all right, that's not just a skinned version of the game. Yes, it may be, but what went into that? What rules were set by the developer? What rules were set by the IP? How many people does it take to put the cards together and the trivia? And it is really kind of a daunting task if you think about taking any game and then crossing it over to an IP or taking any game and building it up from the ground. That has been, to me, one of the things I've learned the most from you and Pat.
Yeah, it's funny with being in this field, right? I help people like, oh, I'm a board game designer. It's my profession. And there's usually this moment of pause where people are like, oh, yeah, I guess somebody has to do that, right? Like, games don't just like appear on the store shelf. Like, they haven't just always existed. They had to come from somewhere. Somebody had to do the art and think through the process and manufacture them. And there's all those steps to it. But some people are just like, oh, I guess I never realized there's people behind that. Like,
people with real passion. I think that's the thing that really slays me about all you guys is that, you know, you see behind both Ross and Pat, they've got all these games. That's not just them. That's like everybody at the Op. That is a true passion, and you all have your own like fandoms that you live in as well. It's cool that you have such a diverse group of people all coming together to make these amazing games.
It really is. We always could be doing different brainstorms and different things too. So we have people that we want to tap into for Disney, for Star Wars, for Marvel, for all these different things. Like for Geek Out Disney, we have one girl that we didn't bring on just to do whatever, but like she could have been naming, you know, the castles into the royalty at the castles, and you're like, that is a whole other level of depth of knowledge of these things. And I'm so glad someone has that. Right, because it means if we need to tap into that kind of thing, it's like, oh, for Disney, who are we going to go? We're going to go there. For Marvel, we're going to go there. You know, and it's just cool that we kind of get to work in this too, because I mean, being a geek is fun right now, right? And everybody is looking into what's the newest thing. Disney Plus, the fact they can just kind of preview this whole what if line for Marvel's shows, that everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's finally like, yes, this is a comic book series of things that may not be real or canon, but now we're going to put like some serious money behind it, and people are into that. Like, that's really cool. So I mean, just from watching a lot of the panels this week too from Comic-Con at home, there's some really cool stuff coming down the line and some cool previews that it's fun seeing everybody be excited about.
Well, it's fun to explore like the different IPs too. It's like, you know, we have, as Ross said, the people who are the super fans, and we consult with them. Like we saw Cammie earlier, right? Like crush us in Trivial Pursuit for Harry Potter.
I was pretty close. I came in second.
Good job, Jeremy.
I held my own. I went on a run.
But we have that for different fan bases. But sometimes we'll dig into an IP that's we have that base level fan knowledge of, and then we go deeper to make the game. So like working on a SpongeBob game recently, I had to do a lot of research beyond just like, oh, the stuff everybody knows, but going into like all those secondary characters in SpongeBob have like families who have names, they have careers. Like the creators have all this backstory that I never knew was there, and figuring that all, it's like, oh, that guy in the brown pants is like an actual named character who has this whole backstory that the show never even touches on, but somebody went to the trouble to be like, oh, of course, everybody knows this guy, and he works at the Foundry, and he has 6 kids, and it's like, what? It's a kid's show, but it's fun to get into that level of detail with the different IPs.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you decide to go with my idea of the Big Lebowski clue, you let me know. I will be your expert consultant, no problem.
you may have to watch the movie like 50 times in a row. I remember, it was Shining, right? Coded Chronicles, Ross, that we were talking about, where the graphic designer said he just had the movie on loop the whole time he was working on the game. He's like, yeah, I've now seen The Shining more times than anyone should, but
that's I actually have the Big Lebowski on a non-ending loop. I mean, if you look at my camera right now, there's a monitor over here that you can't see. This is what I'm watching the Big Lebowski on right now, nonstop.
Nice. You'll come bringing rug in hand, right?
Yep.
So it's all good.
I mean, there's always a White Russian here as well. So I mean, we are celebrating the end of UpCon.
It's true. Such a good time. It's been fun.
So we played some really cool games: Hues and Cues, Blank Slate, Geek Out Disney, Scooby-Doo Escape. Talking about the Coded Chronicles, which going into it, I was scared, but ended up becoming my second favorite game that we played. The first, hands down, was Hues and Cues, because that is such an amazing party game that transitions so well to any environment. The fact that you can play that on a table with some friends, or you can play that on a Zoom call with friends that not even be near them, and just have some fun with it. It was just amazing that they have that ability. I'm trying to think what I think one of my favorite moments, though, and I was talking to Ross about this, was playing Scooby-Doo Escape and getting to the point where we got, and having even the guy who created the game be like, oh, I forgot that happened. Because it was
that was with Velma.
And
her spoiler alert, like her kind of vanishing for that brief moment there, and Seb was like, oh, I forgot we did that. And it was just like, oh, that was really cool. Right. So that was good.
Definitely one of my favorite moments. What about you? Out of all the games we played, Ross?
I really enjoyed Hues and Cues, man. Like, it was just great to see all the different clues that people gave to different things. And then our game with Blank Slate yesterday, Amanda was crushing us. Blank Slate's fun. I could play that game forever. It was just kind of neat seeing what words people pick. You can kind of see where their mind is right on. Oh, are we gonna go there? Are we gonna go there?
Are you sure?
All right, so it's good. I mean, like, we really could have played those games all weekend, which like we did, and it was just a blast. I think we hit a point with Blank Slate where we're like, oh, we have to end now. Oh, well, so that's always good.
Sean did send me an email this morning and asking when we were going to finish Scooby-Doo. I absolutely knew he was going to be on it.
He was a really good Shaggy, man.
I mean, it's not hard when you're naturally gifted with that talent.
It's true.
In terms of panels, we covered some really cool stuff too. Classic games for a modern gamer. We had a really cool, deep discussion about the op, and the hobby and renaissance of gaming was really cool. You guys taught me so much digging into that one. Just the world that is out there. It's not just Monopoly. It's not just Risk. It's not just Hues and Cues, but you can dive so deep, and that kind of goes into the depth of what you guys are offering. It's a lot.
Pat?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different people out there playing games. We've talked about this the other day, and trying to create something for everyone is a challenge at this point. Once upon a time, it was like, well, you make the heavy hobby stuff, and then you make the party stuff, and you pretty much cover your bases for who's playing games. And nowadays, it's like, I mean, everything we come up with. It's a different audience. We have these in-depth conversations, right? Like, who are we making this game for? How do we target the right people? How do we make the experience fit what they want in terms of the speed to learn it? So you take a game like Blank Slate, and the beauty of something like that is if you've played it once, you know all the rules, and you never look at that rule book again. And if somebody else taught you that rule book, and then you go buy your own copy, you don't even need it in the box. It's sort of like everything there is to know about playing that game, and you can kind of keep that internalized. But then there's other games that we do, like Court of the Dead, right, that we did where even I have to check the rule book once in a while, and I worked on it, right, to say like, oh, what was the final version of that? How does that work again? Let me make sure I get it right by what we printed versus what I remember from a playtest or something. And there's an audience for every one of those games out there. And then there's always, as we said, new people coming into the hobby every day who, all these games we take for granted of. Everybody knows all these games. Everybody knows Catan and Ticket to Ride, and everybody's played Hogwarts Battle. And then you realize there's a whole huge market out there that is still being introduced to what we do and the kinds of games that are out there. And to see their excitement is just like the best thing ever. It's sort of like you can see that moment where they go over the edge and fall down the wormhole, and it's just like, yes, one of us.
Well, and that's kind of the thing too, is, and I've touched on a whole bunch this weekend, but it's like everyone's a gamer, like they just don't know it yet. And there's so many games that are out there for somebody to find. And I'm glad that we kind of get to touch on a lot of those different beats, from classic games, party games, and hobby stuff like that. But there's just so many cool games that are going. And as we keep finding more ways to reach new people and get new things, it's going to be a great way to do that. Ruel, nice. He came down when we first had like one of our first copies and got to play with us at the office. It was super good.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, you know what? Here's a fun sidetrack here, and James asking the question, being very persistent about what's coming up next. I mean, we've done OpCon 2020. We're wrapping things up. What's next for you guys? Where are we going to see more of you, and maybe a hint at some of the games you're going to be rolling out over the next couple of months?
So we're going to be diving deep into Gen Con Online next week. So back if COVID hadn't been a thing, we would have been at Comic-Con this whole week, and then we would have flown right to Indianapolis on Monday and been at for Gen Con going that. Since everything's happening online, we're going to be having Gen Con Online next week. So continuing the op at home, we have a lot more content lined up that's going to be on our website with online demos. We have like 5 more panels that we're going to be releasing over the course of the week. We have a bunch of one-on-one demos. So for Marvel Smash Up, we've got a demo on that where Fletch kind of walks you through it. We're going to be showing off a lot more for our games. So Charms and Potions, Hogwarts Battle Expansion is going to be previewed a little bit more. We're going to have some cool stuff for Marvel Smash Up too. That's one of our new partnerships with AEG. So Smash Up's a really cool card game where you are combining different decks together to battle against bases and stuff like that. So this is going to be their first licensed one with us. So we're doing a Marvel one, so you can have a deck of the Avengers and Hydra on the same team fighting against stuff and doing there. So we're going to have more for that. We're going to have, I think, a little preview for the Coded Chronicles The Shining. And we're slowly going to start showing more and more off for some more games. I know a lot of people have been really excited for our Quest of Yore Barley's Edition, which is going to be fun. We're hoping to show more off for that soon. We've got a couple other games like our Friday the 13th Horror at Camp Crystal Lake game. We're going to be doing some more for as well. So it's kind of, we hit these beats, and so it's going to be neat because there's some, I know we focus on a lot of our big party games and Harry Potter stuff for Comic-Con, but we're going to have some more hobby games going in for Gen Con Online next week. I'll also be on Board Game Geek, again, showing off some more games. I think I'm showing off Friday the 13th, which will be pretty neat. And then we're going to have a couple live streams that we'll be playing some games and doing all of that.
Also, if you missed any of the stuff from OpCon 2020, that's all hosted on our facebook.com/alt949radio. It is on our website, hosted at alt949radio.com, and get that all posted with YouTube stuff as well. So you'll be able to find our panels, our gameplay, just about everywhere you consume your media.
That's great.
Oh, there was something I had in my head. Oh, I hate when I get caught with a brain fart. Oh, it was a good question too, and you were in the middle of talking about Gen Con stuff. Oh,
no, it's all good. It happens, right? So, but it's going to be fun. We have a lot of these shows coming up, and I know after Gen Con, we're going to be doing, we're going to want to be doing more, showing off more games, kind of getting ready for the end of the year holiday And then Halloween, right? So we have some horror games coming out then with our horror Trivial Pursuit and Friday the 13th, and then The Shining. So we're going to be doing some more things that are on the way. So kind of just stay tuned to our social media. I know everybody's kind of like, wondering what's next and how we're going to do all this stuff. But right now, online is where we're going to be at. So if you have any questions, you can always message our social media, and our team will be happy to respond. And then for us too, like if you've got questions you want to know about our games, we're on Board Game Geek all the time, answering questions in there. So if you want to start a thread, hey, ask for a cool little preview and stuff like that, sometimes things may pop up that you weren't expecting. So it'd be pretty fun.
Easy place to direct all your socials. I know the website is theop.games for
so
and everything else.
On Facebook we're the op. On Twitter and Instagram we're the op games. On our YouTube we're the op games. On our Twitch we're the op games. And then you can always find us on our website at theop.games.
So as we come around the final stretch, if there's one lasting impression we can take away from all 4 days of this, what's it going to be? Something not to forget about the Op or OpCon. Pat?
Probably that no matter what your fandom is, we have a game for you. And, whatever gets to your table, whatever kind of game you like to play, there's probably something in our catalog that will speak to you. And if you haven't found it yet, chances are we've got it on the radar for the upcoming years. I mean, we're always thinking right now we're looking 2022 for what's going to be on the line for that year. 21 is well underway in development for next year. So we're trying to hit all the major bases for different fandoms, for different game types, for different gamer experience levels. And I know we've got some new IPs that we're bringing into the family that I'm personally very excited about that I can't talk to yet, but that's going to be super exciting as we start to make those announcements probably next year, around the beginning of the year. But as Ross said, we have so much cool stuff coming. The 2 new Rising games, Batman Who Laughs Rising, which is a very dark Batman story, very gritty, really cool art on that one. And then Plankton Rising for a little bit goofier, but still strategy game experience. That one's really fun. So whatever it is you're looking for, check it out. See if we have your fandom covered. And if not, we're always looking for new ideas for things that we haven't done yet that might reach a new audience.
Ross?
I would say that it's about, for the op is kind of not to really echo what Pat is saying, but, it's about finding the fun in your fandom. And we want to make sure that we can create memories and make good times. And with the op, we had a lot of fun this weekend playing Blank Slate and showing these things off. And I wish we could do that every day. It's been a lot of fun to just hang out and play games. And I know everyone's kind of struggling to figure out what's going on with this limbo of a world we're kind of in right now. But it's nice that we can kind of gather and make this happen and make the best out of it. And I love that we've been able to do this. We had been prepping so hard for all of our Comic-Con stuff back in January and November. And so I'm really glad we got to do this, Jeremy. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to make this happen with our partnership. So
thank you. And my parting thought out of all this is something that Ross, you said that struck the deepest chord with me, that no matter what you play, we're all gamers. So embrace it, have fun, enjoy it, find something that ignites your passion and play it. Play it with yourself, play it with your family, play it with your friends, play it over Zoom. Get into it, share the game, tell stories, and have a good time. Because, we're all stuck in our garages or, offices with a crap ton of games anyways. Go explore, go find something new. The Op.Games, Barnes & Noble, I know you have games that are in places like Target. I'll give you this chance. Any hobby gaming stores out there, and especially here in San Diego, that you want to give a shout out to? Any local faves that we should probably be looking for some really cool stuff at? So
we are very blessed in San Diego to have some fantastic game stores. We've got stores all over the county. One I go to a lot is Game Empire in Claremont Mesa. They're really, really good too. Cliff runs an awesome shop. Also, At Ease Games up in Poway. Ron and his whole team, they have a fantastic store right up there, right off Miramar Road. And then down in La Mesa, you can go to Crazy Fred's, and they're right in the La Mesa area. Up in North County, Paradise Games, Rob's up there. He's got a wonderful store. right up Oceanside. So it's a really cool shop there as well. There's a couple more I know I'm missing, but we've got if you're in San Diego, we've got a lot of good local game shops, and especially if you can buy games and buy it local, that's the way to go. Everyone has their masks on rules, obviously, but they aren't getting a lot of that normal Friday night gaming traffic and a lot of the RPG traffic and a lot of those tournaments right now because we're all not able to hang out indoors, but they're still have all their stuff going on. So a lot of our games are still coming out and doing that. So obviously buy games wherever you can, but if you can support local, that's the way to go.
Anything else before we get out of here?
I just want to say again, thank you so much for having us on. This has been such a good time. I'm glad that we came on and talk about games. It's been a nice refresh because I know we haven't really been going to a con this whole much, and so this really kind of helped create that convention experience, which is really special. This would have been, I think, my 18th Comic-Con or something like that, right? So I know I'm up in that area somewhere. So it's nice that we still get to have that experience and be a part of the rush and the crazy. It's really cool and kind of get to talk to people. Like my mom was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been watching and doing these things." So thanks, Mom. Thank you for supporting me on this crazy whole thing, right? So, but it's been a blast, and I'm glad we get to come on and talk about games because games are cool.
Well, Ross, Pat, everyone at the op, thank you for your partnership. Thank you all for letting us bring this content during Comic-Con week into San Diego, all across the web. You can find the videos. You know where to grab them. We are going to be done. We are getting out of here. Thank you so much for being with us for this entire ride. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, buddy.